Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? You know, when I made a video, I think it was yesterday, talking about my impressions on the Lamentations in Prussia, Session 5, I forgot to mention one of my favorite scenes, and it was a really small, very fast little blip. It's about 2 hours and 45 minutes into the broadcast, so if you want, you can go check that out. But there's this moment where we just kind of improv this little scene where the good doctor comes face to face with one of his demons. And I thought it was a great moment. And you know, there's a lot of games I've been looking at lately which intentionally, you know, take the beliefs or flaws or motivations of the character, and the game is sort of revolves around actually putting them face to face with those, or having those tested, if you will. And you know, we did a little bit of that last night. It was totally improv, and it was this great moment in the game. And you know, Dr. Hans Fleischer, played by Lee, your humble game master, is a man with many demons. One of his demons is the fact that he's a wizard, and you know, he's being drawn to the dark arts, and they're calling him more and more. But the other demons he has is he wine, women, and song, and laudanum. And so we have this great scene where, you know, he's interviewing this young woman who swears she's seen a double of herself. She's hysterical. She's locked up in her room. You know, her parents have kind of called asked for help, and it just so happens that these our characters, our heroes, are renting a room, or renting an apartment or house from them. So it's kind of a neat little setup, and this is something that I did off the cuff. So the good doctor, we have plenty of play where the good doctor is indulging in laudanum. We actually have Jurgen stringing him along on a supply of laudanum that the doctor really doesn't know about, and Jurgen keeps on procuring it from God knows where. And so we have this moment where he's interviewing this young woman who's obviously quite disturbed, and at the end of the scene, she says, you know, that I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm not going to take any more of that laudanum they've been giving me. And I just kind of threw that in there. And you know, I mentioned to the doctor at that point that, you know, he had not noticed that on this little dressing table, there's 5 vials of his drug of choice, one of his drugs of choice. And there's this beautiful scene which is probably only about 30 seconds in length, and which is mostly just conveyed in the facial expressions and the body language of Lee as he's playing Dr. Hans Fleischer, and it is pure gold. Maybe it's 60 seconds long, and you can also see in the little squares on the bottom of the Hangouts chat, you can see Josh and Jason's reaction as they're just kind of watching the doctor squirm, and he's in this middle of this moral dilemma. And I wasn't sure what he would do. I just kind of, on a lark, just kind of threw that in there, and it was fantastic. There's this moment where the doctor comes face to face with one of his character flaws, and surprisingly, he comes out. He just gets out of the room as fast as he can, and you can see him kind of almost vacillating. Do I take it? Do I not take it? Because the woman doesn't want it. And it was this fantastic moment in the game, and so that brought me an incredible amount of joy. This was just one of those little role-playing gems that comes out of role-playing sessions, and this is the game where that's not part of the game. That's not. In other words, it's not part of the rules. The game doesn't necessarily revolve around the flaws and the motivations or whatever, the beliefs of the characters. But if you're playing a game that doesn't involve those, that's not part of it. As the players start to develop their characters more and more, as a game master, it makes the game so much richer if you take a look at what they're expressing their characters are like, what their desires are, what their motivations are, what their foibles might be, what their Achilles heels might be, and I don't want to say exploit them, but bring them face to face with it, and just have them have those moments where it was a moral dilemma in that particular case, but it can make the game so much richer. It doesn't have to involve any kind of mechanics. It doesn't have to involve any kind of real incredible consequence one way or the other. Although who knows, there could have been some consequences if he stole it. But you get the idea. It was one of those opportunities where if you're paying attention to what the players and how the players are showing you what their characters are like, you can introduce things in the environment as long as it's not too artificial. After you do it judiciously, and you just have a little bit of fun with that, and bring the game that much more to life, make it another layer of richness. So that was just something that I really enjoyed about that game. 60 seconds, but just absolute pure gold. So that's all I'm going to talk about in this video. Had experiences like that? Tell me about it.